So today promises to be a real adventure. The kids are getting out of school early, which means this will be a very, very short day. But even on a very, very short day, by using leapfrogging and sequencing, we'll find something to get done. And I have the test I did yesterday ready to pull a mask off and see how that worked out, and maybe pass on some information that will be useful to you if you want to do one of these stencil type jobs. Now, funny story, John made these decals when we did the West Cooley restoration, and he made the ones for the side covers too. Not that easy of a job, because again, we wanted that blue to match that blue. Now this blue is a Ford Mustang color, so what John did, he went down to a Ford dealership with his computer to get an exact match for those decals, and they work perfectly. And that was a key part of the restoration, because if that wasn't a good match, that whole restoration would have been compromised. And I used some of my model airplane technology on that one, and John did his computer magic, and that was a focal point, one of the key points of that restoration. But now we have an even bigger challenge. Now, on the Kawasaki tank, when I strip that off, that needs to get moved down, because we do nothing, we never ride without a radar detector, now that we have it fixed anyway. And I want it to be an exact gold match to the trim on the motorcycle. So again, that becomes a part of the challenge of doing a really high quality restoration. And we will get it done. And the point is, every one of these, including mixing the Yama yellow, that's a custom color, all of the graphics, all of the tape work. One of the nice things is we have it all on our channel for people that are bored to tears or you're snowed in like we are. You can go back and watch us going through the whole process. But anyway, right now we have a short day. We're going to try to get something done. And it's warming up. It's over freezing. Looks like some of the snow is melted over by the painting bench. Maybe able to get those parts in black today. No idea. And there's more snow coming, supposedly. But just one look at the sky tells the whole story. But that's the whole point, the whole reason I like to do a restoration in parts. There's always something to sand, something to paint, and something to snow shovel. So on a day this cold, this is really funny. I've got to make sure I get that on strong. This cake that KARYN made the other day, check this out. Whoa. Whoa. Let me tell you that KARYN knows her stuff. That will be disappearing very soon. Maybe we could give some of that cake to the... Nah, we won't give the cake to the birds. We're going to keep the cake ourselves. Give them suet, give them seeds, and we get the cake. And it's nice. It's really nice every morning after having a cup of coffee. Check out the tree. It puts me in a little mood to get something done today. I love the Christmas season. So depending on how the day plays out, I try to set a realistic goal here. I can paint this part. I got 3, 4, 5 parts I can paint black. That'd be a realistic, at least something to target today. And I did a little test, and this is something I'm sure everybody can understand. I had this lettering, and this is yesterday. I waited an hour, pulled one of the things off, left a ratty edge. I waited for 2 hours, and of course it's not sticking to the glass. To do a real test, we're going to have to sand a piece of aluminum. And by the way, this is a good information for people that try to paint on shiny surfaces. This is what happens. But I wanted to see that in the part that was okay, how the paint edge was, and it's fine. This looks like it's going to work okay, but I'm still going to test the rubber cement method. And this now, I had 2 things here. It's overnight and the hairdryer. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to heat this. I got to put my painting clothes on here. I'm still in my pajamas. This is terrible. I wanted to see how this edge is going to come off, except this is what's going to be the problem, is it's going to pull up big chunks of paint when I do this. So I guess there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to bite the bullet. So we will get to paint a little bit today. I can't paint in my pajamas, so let me get changed, have another cup of coffee, and I'm thinking about how difficult it's going to be to cut all these curved lines out. But we're going to do some more experimenting. And thank you, John, for all the help with all of these graphic jobs. John Pothier gets more credit than I do. So what? I have to share the shop with KARYN today because she's wrapping Christmas presents over on the work table. But anyway, I wanted to look at this. Now of course, I did this test wanted to mention, if people are new to painting, they don't understand. This is a smooth surface. Paint delaminates. This is what happens, this big chunk missing. This is probably going to delaminate too. I don't care, because the next part of the test I'll do on a piece of metal. I'll sand it, I'll prime it, paint it, and do a real test, but I don't have the material to do it right now, the rubber cement. So what I wanted to always suggest, anytime you pull this material up, just warm it. Since this is a new material, we've only used this is actually the first time. And I'm doing it more for just an experiment, a test. And my feeling is always, I'm always the old school guy. I like to let paint dry overnight. I'm an overnight, I know you don't have to with modern material, but let's just see how these edges come up. Well, number one, the masking tape leaves a perfect edge. That couldn't be any better. Wow. Ordinary masking tape. Amazing. Anyway, let's get this up so we do a fair test and we do it in real time. And then we can move on to some painting today, because actually it's warmed up out there. Now, let's just see. This is kind of... Again, once I use this a few times, I'll be more familiar with how sticky it is. And it doesn't... See, because we're on glass, that's the problem. So I just need to know, because this is not going to come up the way I want. See, the paint is not sticking to the glass, and actually that's a good lesson for people just to, if you're not familiar with painting, you know, that can happen to a paint job too. Yeah, this whole thing is invalid because, well, some of it's sticking anyway. But to be honest, the only thing I really need from this test is this one little piece right here. Pull this up. Now, it's because it's not sticking to this is too smooth. And that's, by the way, an important lesson for people new to painting. That's why you etch. You always put them the paint bonds in two ways. It mechanically has teeth, like two washboards, and also chemically it melts. The thinner in the paint melts the paint itself and makes a chemical bond and a mechanical bond. With this, you have no mechanical bond at all. So there's actually a good lesson there. Now, the real lesson is, and I don't know if this even makes any sense, is that I wanted to see, I've already gotten to see, is the edge of where this material is really not as smooth as I would like it to be. Now, I could fix it in the case of the black with an ink pen or some India ink, but so what I would say is, for right now, I would move on to step 2. We've learned a lot from this. Before I do the next test, I need the rubber cement, and I need a piece of material. While I'm painting today, I'll paint a piece of aluminum so we have something to test. But the glass to test this on, and this worked out okay, where we did it in reverse, but it's still not a nice, real clean edge. So, and that's why you do the test on something other than your motorcycle. This will be a little bit more realistic of a test, but it'll be a good demonstration of what I'm trying to show people. This is just a piece of aluminum. I scrap aluminum from somewhere. It doesn't matter what it is. If I had an old body panel, an old fairing, or an old anything, what I want to do is just basically do this. I want to take a piece of good old-fashioned, we don't even need new sandpaper, just as long as I don't have fish ice, and just etch it. And so people that may not have never painted a car or a guitar or motorcycle or whatever, the information that you can benefit from this video and from the one before is, if you try to paint something that's as shiny as glass and you don't etch it or scratch it, and you don't get a good mechanical bond or a chemical bond. Now, the chemical bond can be deteriorated by using quick drying thinner. Will give you less of a bond. Anything fast drying is not going to make a good chemical bond. Slow drying thinner will come out with a shinier product at the end, and there'll be a downside to it, like there is with everything in life. The downside is it's going to take forever to dry. Anyway, this is right now when I go to do the painting, I'll put a coat of primer on this, and put it aside to dry and then paint it black, and we'll be ready to do the next step of the test. But I still have to get that rubber cement to do it. Now, because we're painting metal, raw metal, and it's always a good idea as soon as you sand any raw metal, put on some self-etching primer, keeps it from oxidizing. So I want to get a coat of primer on these again, but it really, when I went out there before, after a cup of coffee, it looked like it's going to rain any minute. It's starting to drizzle, so we may be at the short end of the stick here. This is all part of our shop day. Karen is busy wrapping presents on what was my work table. Of course, I'm a very low priority during some of these Christmas holidays. Now what we're trying to do is work in and out of the raindrops. It drizzles for a minute, it stops. It's like a mist, it stops. So I'm just trying to take advantage of the day. And this will give us a great test part. This will be something we can use where hopefully the paint won't come delaminating off. We do our next test and we can share that information with you. I'll give this a nice coat of black. And actually then we'll get to see what this gold logo is going to look like on a real piece. So I got about half of them done, and there's a little rain delay. And, well, the primer's still drying on some of them also. So, little by little, we're working around the raindrops today. I don't know how this is going to all play out, but in a perfect world, at the end of the day, I'd have everything back in black. And actually, these parts, I'll be ready to put the arrowheads on them. But I won't do that on a day that's like today where it's so iffy to paint. I'm just trying to squeeze things in between the raindrops. I'm almost done. Well, Santa Claus is coming early today.
No,
oh my God!
Gifts are coming in the mail.
My poor shop. When are my presents coming? Not right now, right? So I'm constantly monitoring between, because it's just like a light mist, but it gets into the paint, and I wait until I can take a break and sneak out there. I hate to get the camera wet too. Well, even though we had some setbacks today and we had a little visit from Santa Claus in our shop, among other things, we still managed to get a lot of painting done, and we have this test piece that should give us a real good indication of how that's going to work out. We got some parts to buff, we got arrowheads to mask off, we got a lot of stuff, and that workbench just keeps getting every day busier and busier, and eventually, not long from now, the whole motorcycle will be up here in pieces. And that's the fun of doing this. I don't know how else to explain the fun of restoring old motorcycles. It is fun. Well, every time we can add one more part to our bench, and there are more parts coming pretty much every day, or we can work around a day like today where we had limited time. We had a visit from Santa, of course, and I've got to go get the baby early. Oh, and more snow is on the way, just what we need. So anyway, but we're able to get something done, and we were able to get the first part of that test done, and we'll be moving on to more of that, and we get the part. This is important. It's important when you really come down to the final test, just before you paint the motorcycle, try it on something real. Anyway, But I wanted to show that because the funny thing is a lot of people, and they're new to this, and nobody's born knowing any of this. You got to learn it from somebody, or share it, or learn it, or whatever. You know, the point is, I've learned from other people like Luciano, and I've learned from Glenn and from Vince and from everybody. Everybody adds something to the base of knowledge we have out on YouTube, and I'm sure now Scott's making videos and other people. Everybody wants to share the information, and everybody wants to learn things and get their restorations done the easy way to avoid some of these pitfalls. And that's basically the reason we do it, and for the money. So, hope you enjoyed the video. You'll have a great Christmas. Santa will visit you, and thanks for watching.